It's late at night, it's late at night for Setlist once again. Because we find ourselves with Mr. Burnz singing drunken lullabies. No, we tried. It's such a good riff. But yeah, Setlist episode 16 is here. To the surprise of absolutely nobody, it is much too late for Mr. Producer Man. I think he gets up in like 3 hours from now, anyways. But yeah, our guest today, I think the first time that I talked to him, or he's the first person from like the Schmodown era that I remember just talking to, I think in the comment section. I think we were talking about matches, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's be pretty cool. And then he popped up in Joe back then, now multiplex. And it's like, oh, it's great that it wasn't necessarily like somebody that was just looking to compete. It was just somebody that also loved the Schmodown at the time, and then was like, hey, I found this thing to kind of hang out. And then he's just kind of been in the community since. He's been on a bunch of different shows. I think the last big time that we got together was for rap groups. I know he's on 500 Stones for one episode, but it's the guy from the other side of the continent. It's one Jay Burnz. How's it going, my guy? You're muted.
You're right, because I wanted to be respectful. I wanted to come in with some more flogging Molly lyrics, especially because I loved the way that you did that, and I know the way that is going to kind of almost curve or at least play into what it is that we are talking about tonight. But thank you so much for having me, Brooklyn. I appreciate you, baby. Like I said before we even got on, I think everybody needs to take a second and just point out Brooklyn has lost like an entire half a person. Like
25% if we're doing the math.
Hey, depends on who you are and where you're at and what the laws are there. Half a person, 25% of a person. You're still a full person to me, baby.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for having me.
If I could say anything to that, Popeye wasn't wrong. Eat your spinach. Just spinach. Especially curry. Spinach. Yeah, there's if I go to any Indian spot, I get chicken sog and try to get it as hot as possible, because man, there's nothing better than a good sweat. Or we've been going to this really cool Japanese place called Hojo's, and they have really good miso pork ramen, and they just changed the recipe over the summer. I'm
gonna have to come and visit you, because I do love me some miso pork ramen, dog. I do love me some ramen.
Yeah, I love a restaurant that instead of having a server give you a menu, they're like, here's an iPad, just order whenever you want, it'll come out whenever.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, if you haven't checked out the show before, how it works is I give each guest the same 10 questions every time. That way, whenever you get to check out the next show, you kind of know what's going on, and then you can kind of anticipate potential guesses that are coming up. But we'll get right into it. Question number one: your favorite artist. Like many, you have a couple of different choices. But we'll start off with the obvious one.
Okay, so my obvious one is Tech Nine. 100%, my obvious artist, my favorite artist is Tech Nine, and it's not because he gave me he was at a show where I was performing for the first time, and he gave me the nod. It was, he puts on fire shows no matter what happens. Tech is that guy, bro. And it's one of my favorite things, and it's one of the reasons why he is one of my favorite artists of all time. No matter whether or not he's gone from Ever Ready to Angelic to King of Darkness or KOD, whatever you want to call it, he is one of my favorites. My second is, again, calling back to the intro, Flogging Molly, and it's only because I do have a very special memory with both of these people, and it's one of those things that really just incorporates what it is to follow a musician, be a fan of a group or a band, and both of them have stood out, and I don't think that I can put one above the other without disrespecting either one.
Absolutely, they're in two almost separate categories in a way. Like we think about Tech Nine, it's crazy that him and both MF Doom encapsulate pretty well the same aspect of hip hop. Really villainous, and even now, whenever he's still making records, leans into that just over the top production style, very much like Dr. Doom. Also, just his delivery is second to none. I don't think there's really anybody that comes close to mimicking that style, that chopper style, as I guess you would call it. There's a couple
that Midwest chopper flow. Yeah.
I want to get into Asinine a little bit. That would be his most recent record, unless you count. I think it's Bliss that's coming out a little bit later this year.
Okay.
Or
I have not heard either one, to tell you the truth.
No. Okay.
No. Well, so I'm not gonna lie to you on that one.
No, that's okay. So Asinine came out in 2021. If you're familiar with Face Off, the one that has The Rock on it, it comes from
yeah.
But
we about power. But we survive. We devour.
We take what's ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but it's crazy because that song is it's good. It has a couple of listens, and I find it kind of gets stale a little bit afterwards. But the hurt, if you like that song, the opening track from this, The Herder, is fucking unreal. And when I was talking about the over the top villain style production, that's what I'm talking about. The heavy synths, the right amount of synths. But the other song, the song that really kind of drew me was Kicketer, the one featuring Xiao Dao, because it talks about them playing in Nova Scotia, and they're he's one of the best places to go. And there is a little bit of a hip hop scene here. Classified, he did a song with B.O.B. So yeah, he's
flatter kind of B.O.B.
Yeah. But no, Classified's kind of like Will Smith. He's not very he's pretty clean in his delivery, but he has a couple of good ones as well. So other than the delivery, what for you separates Tech Nine and MF Doom?
So here's my thing. I do thoroughly enjoy MF Doom's way that he just rides a melody and can still just jump a bar line. I think what for them really kind of separates them is the fact that Tech has put in work. I know Tech. I've worked with Tech. The thing that puts Tech above MF Doom for me, and it might just be bias, which is completely fine, but the simple fact is he can say, this is what I want to say in a line, and his engineer in the studio can be like, you only have this much space to do that. And you don't jump bar lines. You need to go faster, or you need to change your lyrics. And Tech will just go faster.
Yeah.
Just go faster.
Absolutely. And that's tough to do.
Shout out Pat Stay. If we're talking Skosh, shout out Pat Stay.
Okay. Nice.
Rest in peace, KOTD, Pat Stay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about with the bar lines, and you have to sometimes just go faster. That's tough. For example, right now, I'm working on a cover of Love the Way You Lie, but in a more folksy kind of style. And it's tough to do. I straight up have to cut out words, and just gives you more appreciation for Tech and what he's able to do. Even the slower ones. I think it's the Yeah, I think it's Dial It Back. One of the last tracks on the album. He does a really good kind of R&B approach, but he can still do that fast delivery because you're really just doing cut time basically, like to kind of get into music theory for a second. It's almost like you're in in 2/4 and tempo wise, but then you're still doing that 4/4 style. Now,
he does it really well. I'm sorry. No, I don't.
No,
I don't
go
mean
ahead.
to jump you. He does it really well in like the Martini on KOD. But it's also one of those things that like even in Ever Ready, like going back to the early shit that Tech did, like Tech was doing that fucking double time before drill was a real thing. Like, and that's one of the reasons why I have to give him more respect than like a lot of people are willing to give him, because not a lot of people know Tech. Like a lot of people know Twista, and I think that's one of the reasons why Tech got Twista on Midwest Choppers. And Tech still kind of drilled fucking Twista on Midwest Choppers.
Okay. Yeah, and then you mentioned Flogging Molly as well. So my introduction to Flogging Molly was actually on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Drunken Lullabies, the song that I did is on that soundtrack. So I have memories of playing that game and that song coming up and just like hitting hitting 8900s off of the ramp or doing like the obscene fucking tricks in that game.
Drunken Lullabies. Yes.
And then also one of the pluses of working in an Irish pub is that you get to hear these guys quite a bit. What's the
you
other
hear
song?
that, or you hear shipping up to Boston fucking 800 times a day?
1 second. So I think it's Devil. Yeah, Devil's Dance is the other one that gets played quite a bit. Speaking of Dropkick Murphys, it's crazy that we talk about Dropkick Murphys more. I think it's literally just because of shipping up to Boston. Because I think Flogging Molly is a lot better. Like they lean more into that punk style. They do a little bit of they do a lot of blast beat, and I think that's one of the kind of the cliches of punk. But I think they're able to work it into their tone and style.
I think one of my favorite things about Flogging Molly is the fact that it's not necessarily like your everyday given punk band. Like you've got like 2 guitars, you've got a violin, you've got a drum, you've got drums, and you've got somebody who's rocking a fucking I don't want to say melodica because it's hard, not harmonica. What's the word I'm thinking of? Help me here. Not a melodica, not a harmonica. The big one.
Oh, accordion?
That's the one. And they do. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I've been dealing with a lot of shit. I'm on like 4.5 hours of sleep right now.
Oof. Yeah. I get you there. But Flogging Molly, much like a lot of other bands, like they put out Anthem in 2022, and I think it's safe to say that a lot of bands wrote about the pandemic, and you get it with song, was like life begins and ends. These times have gone. It's just the opener, and then these are the days. Bare Naked Ladies kind of went into a similar route, like they were doing a lot of songs like that. How do you feel about the kind of the trend post pandemic where it was writing a lot of songs about isolation and that how we need to just kind of stick together through the tough times?
So here's my thing. I don't think that Flogging Molly has ever done anything differently.
No.
I think that, to tell you the truth, the pandemic kind of elevated what it was that Flogging Molly had been doing for the last 18 years. And just was like, hey, this is an Irish punk band who has been here and has been doing the exact same type of content and has been creating not necessarily the exact same type of music, but they have been creating music to this level. And it's something that you should look at. And the pandemic just made it a little bit more easily accessible, because even the Speed of Dark, Salty Dog, every earlier thing that Flogging Molly had done was just about what was happening to like Dave King, shout outs Dave King, by the way. But like to him and every single one of his fucking bandmates, and now it's happening to the entire world to a certain degree.
Yeah. I guess my last sub question before I move on: what's your favorite album from each artist?
Oh, for Tech 9, it's gonna be King of Darkness, and that's a real close tie with like Ever Ready or even Angelic. Like it's super hard for me when it comes to Tech, but I'm gonna go King of Darkness, and with Flogging Molly, I'm gonna go. Oh, part of me wants to go with this Sweet of Darkness. I'm actually just gonna say, Salty Dog. Yeah, no, that's a really tough one for me when it comes to both of these, because none of them have put out. None of the artists that I've chosen, neither one of the artists that I've chosen has put out a bad album.
Yeah,
like,
and not a lot of bands can say that. Like for Foo Fighters, like Sonic Highways is definitely like it's a stretch away from their sound. Metallica, fucking Guns N' Roses, Chinese Democracy. They were they're talking about them at trivia tonight. And like a lot of bands tend to just have that one where it's like, hey, we're tired of our sound. Let's do something different, and you don't get that with Tech 9 and Flogging Molly. Like staying true to it. Like unless your name is Jeff Beck, don't change your sound.
I'm not going to. Next question.
All right. Question number 2. Question number 2. Your favorite song to dance to. At this point, I think this is the correct answer. Maybe just for the memes, maybe it's just for our generation at the time, but tell us what it is.
My question to you, Brooklyn, is: do you remember the 21st night in September? I legitimately do think my favorite song to dance to, and it's not like, oh, I'm trying to hit any like specific beat. I'm not trying to fucking like get out there on the dance floor and peacock to anybody. But September by Earth, Wind, and Fire is by far just like that song that you can get out on the dance floor and vibe to. And I think that's one of my favorite things about it is it's not like, oh, you need to remember clap, slide to the left, slide to the left, or slide to the right. Like let's go. Like, let's be here. Let's just be in the moment. Let's have a good time. And I think it's one of my I think it's the giant. I think it's the biggest reason why I do love like Earth, Wind, and Fire, because it is technically like a disco song. Like,
oh, absolutely, it's 1,000% a disco song.
100%.
But yeah, like this song kind of transcends like the typical like wedding song dancer, like you were mentioning, like the cha-cha slide,
the Cupid shuffle.
Yeah, here the Cotton Eye Joe is a big one as well. But as much as it is for like getting onto the dance floor, this is one of the rare times where you can come off of the dance floor and you're still like dancing, like when you get into that opening lyric of like, do you remember? And it's like, all right, like let's go to drink, and then hopefully by the time we're finishing it, we're back into the chorus, and then we can just jump right in. Like it has that
dance floor
progression. Absolutely, yeah. David Jimenez actually picked this as well last week, so I think we're on a two times combo with this one. We'll see if it carries on to the next episode. But yeah, we'll get on to question number 3. Favorite song in the current top 500. Now, before I even sent you the questions, I was expecting Love for the Children, in particular, Cash Rules Everything Around Me. But you went with another banger, and honestly, a song that's too low for the list.
Way too low. way too low. And I will tell you this song comes from one of my favorite movies of all time. And this song comes from a movie that was released in 2000. And every single time I hear it, I'm brought back to my fucking childhood. And this is Thin Lizzy's The Boys Are Back in Town. The boys are back in town. And for everybody out there who doesn't understand or doesn't know that, that's A Knight's Tale. As soon as like every one of the main group are heading back into London, that's the song that's played. And the fact that this is number 499, there were 500 songs to choose from. And I did. I might have chosen the song that like a lot of people were saying, that's not the right song to choose. This is the song that I would have chosen. Cool. The next time you're on the show, choose that song. This is the song that literally represents like every sick day that I've ever had. Because every time I've ever been sick, you know what I do? A Knight's Tale is my go-to watch movie when I don't feel good. This movie has been with me for the last 20 years. And that's why it's my favorite on 490 out of the 5.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the movie that I would throw on whenever whenever I'm not feeling the greatest. But like again, like with Thin Lizzy, just the dual guitar work, especially whenever you have like that opening power chord and then the other guy doing the little lick to kind of increase the tension or like have a little bit of a rush to it. And then and then the next two power chords just like letting it kind of breathe and play out. When you're talking about dual guitar solos, like Hotel California comes up in there, Detroit Rock City by Kiss. But like I said it before on Like 500 Stones, Thin Lizzy is Kiss's cooler cousin. Like Kiss wants to be Thin Lizzy. And that solo is just great, and it adds on and it keeps going. There's a band here.
The Love Gun was their dicks, bro.
So there's a band that plays at work that actually that does this for their warm up. For their guitarists, it's like, all right, we can do the solo, we sound good, and then they'll do it later on with the full band and everything.
There are several, but I don't think that there are any opening chords on a guitar outside of the top 5 where if you play this, people are like, what's that song? No, as soon as you hit those fucking chords, you're like, I know this song.
Yeah, I think, I don't think there's any other ones that just literally just strum it out, because like there's obviously like the intricate kind of pickings, whether it's like Stairway to Heaven, Hotel California, or like Yesterday
song. Yeah, the band song.
Or the band song, yeah. But like one of my favorite things about this question, and like kind of going back to like David's episode as well, like he had God Only Knows, which is like top 10. And you have this one here, which is like in the top 400s. But like they're all really good. There's a couple there's a couple of duds, and like if you really want to know what they are, go back and like you can find out what ones. But like this one and like California Dreamin', it was also in that low section, and it's like, man, like, because it's kind of hard to tell, like it's a second interpretation of the list. I could see this one going up, especially with how rock is kind of coming back into the mainstream, especially like Miley Cyrus in particular is kind of carrying that flag with her. But yeah, great choice. I think this is also a favorite song of Zach Ford as well. Like whenever we had him on the episode.
Okay.
But yeah, just like
shout out Zach Ford.
Yeah, if you love good hard rock, go check this out if you haven't already, which I'd be surprised.
Also, just watch A Knight's Tale and then wait for this moment to come and tell me that this song doesn't fucking hit you like a steamroller.
I think I figured out the movie that I throw on whenever I'm not feeling well. Emperor's New Groove. That lifts up my spirits. It's such a quotable movie. A llama, he's supposed to be dead. Anyways,
can I go home? Would anybody else like to leave?
All right, question number 4, your favorite concert. You were alluding to one of them earlier. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. So my favorite concert, like both of them technically happened in the same building. At the Showware Center in Seattle, Tech-9 had a show. And before he went and did his after party bullshit, he had, for just like fans of his, an entire show in which he did in the El Corazon in downtown Seattle. That is by far one of my favorites, because before he went on stage in the El Corazon, I actually got to open for him. That was one of my favorite fucking, that's an experience that I don't think, no matter what hits me, whether Alzheimer's hits me, whether fucking memory loss hits me, that's not going to be one of those things that I will ever forget. I had 20 minutes worth of music, and he was like, "Can you go for 25?" Yeah. And then they played a beat that was a tech beat, and I fucking freestyled for 4.5 minutes before I lost my shit, cool. Dog. Like, and that will forever be my favorite concert. But at the exact same point in time, at the El Corazon, Flogging Molly, Dave King and Flogging Molly came through. It was the Speed of Sound concert back in like 2009, 2010, right around there. And I was working as like security, and I got to share a beer with Dave King while they were doing sound checks. And I got my fucking I got my Guinness beer like caddy signed. I had to smuggle it in. Two of those things will always be within my mind for 100% of the time. And those are two of my favorites. A quick shout out is to when Steven Tyler, a man who is famously not known for being able to play the guitar, but in 2007 or 2008 did a concert with Kiss at the White Rock Amphitheater, gave me like a 5-minute guitar lesson. And maybe that's why I've never actually been able to play the guitar well, but like it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you have backstage pass, you're here, you know, like, hey, you know, what's going on? Like it's just one of those. It's one of those really fun things. But like, yeah, those are two of my favorite concerts, and that's the reason why. One, Tech-9, I got to open for him. Flogging Molly, I got to share a beer with the lead singer before everything ever started. And those are the reasons why those are my favorite concerts.
Okay, so a bunch of things to go off of. Number one, I respect freestyling so much because it's such a difficult thing to do. Like if somebody put a gun to my head, I couldn't do it. I could maybe I could parody EFG pretty well. I could parody, like if you wanted to, if you gave me a song and like a topic, I could parody the hell out of it. That's how kind of the intros came out of the song. The being able to share a beer with your favorite front man is also really cool. I got to have a similar experience with my guy Steve Poltz, like a songwriter from California but born in Nova Scotia. He was playing at a show one time, and my dad took me up to meet him like the day after the show because he was hanging out with his girlfriend at the time, and like gave me a lesson on how to play one of the songs called Silver Lining. This really cool song. And like if you're familiar with like Jewel, like he wrote a lot of songs for her. In particular, that like the big like her big hit, you were meant for me.
Okay.
But
yeah, no, I do know Jewel. I don't know any of the names of her songs, but I do know
no.
Jewel.
But yeah, Guinness also Irish pub. Like I've like pouring so many fucking Guinnesses. Are you more of a dark and tan guy or a black and velvet?
Okay,
Or a black
so
velvet rather?
well, no. So here's my thing. I'm more of a dark and tan, but I do enjoy me a little bit of a half and half. It's called a snake bite, depending on where you are. It is half like Angry Orchard, half Guinness with a shot of Fireball floated on top. It tastes like an apple pie. Legitimately, try it out. Anybody who's listening, try it out the next time you go. Some people call it a snake bite.
So here it's called a Royal Crown. We do
Okay.
it with Strongbow as well. We have a cider here.
I think Strongbow's the better fucking cider to do it with.
So here's my thing. Strongbow is semi-sweet, semi-dry. It's fine. It's much better than Angry Orchard. Angry Orchard is too fucking sweet. We have one here called Father Walker's. It's like locally made. It's a super dry cider, and it's fucking awesome. Like I love that mix because of how the Guinness kind of just sits on the top. And it doesn't like mix into everything. Now, when you say a snake bite, what for that here, that is cider with red ale.
See, that's cider,
and that's an apple pie.
Fucking Fireball. For the most part, that's cider with Fireball here, or cider with an aftershock.
Yeah. And see, like if I'm having Strongbow, I need to have a shot of Fireball in it just to give it a little bit more depth. And like Strongbow's pretty light on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Aerosmith, that's pretty cool. I think Aerosmith was actually the last band to play at the Charlottetown driving park, which is like the horse track here. There hasn't been a concert there since. I think the last big outdoor concert they did was like fucking like Shania Twain right before the pandemic, and then she got really fucking expensive. Her tickets are fucking asinine. You thought Taylor Swift was expensive. You'll see how much people pay for 90s nostalgia. But yeah, just great choices. On to number 5, your favorite music video. You have some standard ones, some go-tos, but then you have another one that hasn't been picked yet. So let's go through all 3.
Oh, okay. Which one of the ones that you know that I have? Which one isn't the standard one?
The last one, like the one that you said afterwards. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, my standard one is going to probably be Thriller. Like everybody loves that. Do not get me wrong. Like John Landis, like Michael Jackson. This is great. It's a great music video. Do not get me wrong. It's wonderful. The song is great. Everybody knows it. But I think that's like the basic choice that everybody has. I think my less than basic choice for everybody is the original Johnny Cash Hurt. This song breaks my heart. This is a cover. This is Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt by 9 Inch Nails, and even 9 Inch Nails is like, this is not our song, this is Johnny Cash's song. And if you go and you watch not even like Vimeo's video of where like they have everybody singing it after he passed away, just his original song is a heartbreaking fucking song. Like that entire, like when he is pouring the cup of wine over his empire of dirt during this song, absolutely breaks me.
Yeah. So the talking points on Thriller right quick. Like
Yeah.
one of the like obviously incredible video. Vincent Price, his voiceover work is fucking phenomenal. One of the greatest closings to a music video. It just cuts to him and the yellow eyes, and you have that maniacal laughter. Like it's so iconic to the point that even Family Guy fucking riffed on it whenever they did the evil Stewie episode. And then like anytime that you like, obviously now like we're getting pretty close to Halloween.
Yeah,
this song is in the mix. You need to have it on. We were looking at it the other day because we were talking about like how Drake is kind of coming up to Michael Jackson, and like we really should just get Michael another one hit, another hit.
Never gonna be close.
No. Thriller is not one of the number one hits, which is it doesn't make sense. How does the music video get to this iconic status, but the song itself
it's a cult status. It's a cult status thing.
Yeah. Hurt by Johnny Cash, like just an incredible video. Like you really get a sense of the frailness in him, as like when you have that side shot, and
I think it's one of the things that they play really heavily into, where it's like, I'm Johnny Cash and hello, I'm Johnny Cash, and then you see Johnny as a fucking 80-year-old frail individual, but you see the love that he has for his wife throughout the entirety of everything. And honestly, I know 9 Inch Nails came up with the song. Like that's Johnny Cash's song.
Oh yeah.
I don't like, I'm not even saying like, oh, hey, no, this is bullshit. You should never say this. This is something that like 9 Inch Nails has said themselves. The band Trent Reznor has said himself, like, we created this song, but this was Johnny Cash's song, and the music video hits hard, bro. Like,
even just the song on its own. Like one of the last times that I went to open mic, there was a guy that played the song, and he did a bit of a hybrid version. Like he had just the one guitar. He did that Johnny Cash like original, or like that Johnny Cash arrangement, but he still kept in like the 9 Inch Nails kind of tweak to it. Like Johnny, like I said it before on the show, Johnny Cash does kind of cleans this up a little bit. It's a standard like A minor. He doesn't have that weird note to kind of give it that like 9 Inch Nails sort of feel, but this guy did it, and there's no greater feeling than hearing a bunch of people just sing along to the song, especially get to the "What Have I Become, My Sweetest Friend." Like I was fucking crying by the end of it, and it's just right? Like, like when you're just like in the present and just being able to admire what's going on. It's so fucking cool. But I want to get to your other choice as well, because I think this is also another great song. Also another incredible cover. It kind of gave it a new breath of life. But tell us about it.
First off, I want to shout out the Irish people. I also like, play it if you will, or play it if you won't. Palestinian people are not Hamas. And if there is one person on the face of the planet who is going to sing a song, I don't think that you can choose a better person than Dolores O'Riordan.
Yeah.
Zombies. This music video is fucking wild. Like, if you have a problem with Sinead O'Connor on SNL tearing up a picture of the Pope, don't watch this music video. Dolores O'Riordan and the Cranberries delivered by far probably one of the best music videos. I don't think a lot of people, it's not that a lot of people wouldn't understand, but it's ahead of its time. It's one of the reasons why like the BBC didn't want it played. because it showed actual videos of like IRA bombings. This is real shit. This is shit that like she had to go through. This is one of the reasons why like Irish people stand with Palestinians, not even Hamas, not even Israel, but like it's one of those things, bro, where like you gotta take into consideration everything that's going on in the world, and you cannot just be like, oh well, I'm gonna stand with the motherfucker who has the most tallies or the most votes. This is what's really going on here. And the bombs. Like, this video, the music video to this is hard hitting as a motherfucker.
Yeah, there's some really cool kind of like underbelly kind of conversations here, because it cuts back from like these kids that are like sword fighting and then eventually kind of carrying guns, which makes sense, like given the conversation on the IRA and like everything that was kind of going on at that time. And then it cuts over to her, and she's like, and it's almost like Cleopatra, like just covered in gold, over on this cross. And I think that's a real kind of like, it's an interesting commentary on Catholicism, and especially when you get to like the chorus of like what's in your head, and like how are we supposed to follow this, because like a lot of religion.
Zombies. Yeah. Let's be real here. Like, and I will say this, I'm pretty sure I had that to you before like all of that kicked off. But it's very of the times. It's very in
it's topical. It's super topical.
Exactly.
I haven't been following that as much. I've just been getting over our Speaker of the House letting in a former Ukrainian Nazi, and then him getting a fucking standing ovation. What a fucking
no. We don't do that, bro. We don't do that. Especially Canadians don't do that. Why do you think that you have like 73 of the 85 fucking Geneva Convention laws that you have? Until Canadians got into it, it was like 8. It was 8, bro. You don't do that. No. No.
All right, we'll get on to the next question. Favorite musical, similar to the last question. I think you have the consensus popular answer. I think this is like the third or fourth time picked, but then you have another one that I have a really nice appreciation for.
How does a bastard, orphan, son of a whore, dropped in the middle of a forgotten spot in the Caribbean? I think everybody likes Hamilton at this point in time. I legitimately do think everybody likes Hamilton at this point in time, and I think the people who don't like Hamilton at this point in time either haven't listened to the entirety of what's being said there, or are just trying to be like, no, I don't like this. Hamilton is... it's not even necessarily incredibly engaging, because it's not. But if you want to sit down, and even if you don't want to watch the musical, you can listen to the you can listen to everything it is that's like spit, or you can listen to the theatrical release, quote unquote, of everything that happens here. And it's still just one of those things where you're like, oh shit, okay, so like this is what's happening during this time. And is it anachronistic? Absolutely. But a lot of what's being said what happened during this time? Yes. Should it be labeled as fucking gospel during what's going on? No. But is it genuinely entertaining? Absolutely.
Yeah, I talked about it a bunch, but I think the one thing that I want to hit on is all the different beats that it really kind of captures. Like when you say that it's not for you, like go check out You'll Be Back, because that's genuinely fucking hilarious. If you want some good like R&B vibes, like go check out Helpless, or go check out Satisfied. If you want a nice
Satisfied's Reprieve later on, but also wait for
Yeah.
it. Wait for it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I wasn't initially sold on Wait For It whenever it first came out, but then
Wait For It was the first song that I heard that made me watch it, and that's what made me fall in love with it.
Yeah.
So
I think another great one that not enough people talk about, especially given like the introduction of the character, What Did I Miss? Like Daveed Diggs.
Oh no, that's like my favorite song in the entire fucking musical. What did I miss? Oh
yeah,
no,
and just hamming it up. But then and then you get to the end of it of who lives, who dies, who tells your story. Still get fucking sad at the end. It's just it's really good. I'm not as like, it's so weird. It's such a great part. It's such a great cast or whatever. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda is probably the one that I'm like, we could maybe change him. An incredible mind, and like obviously took tons of time to do it. I'm not a fan of his voice, but I understand that I'm in the minority on that one.
No, I feel it. Even with him there, and I think that's one of the things that I do like about Lin-Manuel Miranda being a part of it, especially being the giant part of it, is the simple fact that like it plays into him being the immigrant in there. So like some of those stutters plays into his character if not being of this, so like it doesn't necessarily make sense for certain things to be said, but I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from.
Now your other choice I think is one that not like, I've heard a lot of people say that it's overrated, but I don't get the overrated argument, just because I think it does a really good balance of the tone and like the subject matter of the movie, but it still has that musical kind of charm to it. Like it doesn't really delve into the subject matter.
Oh, okay. So I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about the man, the demon barber of Fleet Street. We are talking about Sweeney Todd. Here's my thing about this, and I've said this multiple times, and I will continue to say this. Whatever it is that you want to say about this movie, whether or not you want to say that like Helena Bonham Carter can't sing in this movie, or whether she can sing in fucking Les Mis, or whether or not, you know, any one of these other actors who appear in this movie can't sing in that one, I actually feel like they're putting their all into this movie. Like Jamie Campbell Bell, fucking what's his name? I always want to call him Ollie G, as Adolfo Pirelli. Sacha Baron Cohen. Sacha Baron Cohen as Adolfo Pirelli is one of my favorite ones, where they're doing the entire thing. Like, you can say that it's bad all you want. There are certain things in this movie where you look at it and you're like, this is exactly what I want out of a musical. And personally, when I look at it, because this is my episode, this is exactly what I want out of a musical. I want something that's going to make me laugh. I want something that's going to be like, that's not right, but like still makes sense in the long run. I don't need a musical to be perfect. It's not like I'm sitting here and looking for like a sonata to be played, and if you hit a wrong note, oh, it ruins the entire thing. Like, there are certain times where you look at certain things, especially in musicals, where it just doesn't hit you right. This movie doesn't hit me wrong in like 95% of the ways.
Like, I think it's really, words are hard sometimes. It's an incredible musical. I think I debated it at one point, like way back in the day. Alan Rickman, I think, is another great performance in this. I think him and Johnny Depp share one song in particular, but you still get that like they carry the Broadway sense into the film, and I think it would have been really easy to carry that Nightmare Before Christmas arrangement of like just this like over the top kind of sense, and like getting like really kind of like lambastic sort of moments out of like the strings or like the horns. But no, it's still kind of like you said, you kind of have that charm and that funness. Like I think this would be kind of the perfect musical for somebody, and like
the music
junior
almost
high.
works diegetically with everything that's going on there. Like it's not like the music takes you out of the moment. The music just
yeah, because like I think it's a perfect one to show for somebody in junior high, because they may not get like all the little details at the start, but then when you go to revisit it as an adult, it's like, oh, like this makes so much sense. And it's like I like the I'm not sure if it's one that kind of carried, or if it started the trend of having these uplifting songs in like horror movies to kind of have like the contrast. But I think it goes in that vein, and I appreciate it for that.
No, I would say that might be, what was it, Schumacher's Phantom?
Phantom, yeah.
Yeah, Schumacher's Phantom might have started that, but that's only because it came out like 4 years before this one. And also like that's that turn of the century like rise of the we don't necessarily have to have bad guys who are bad guys thing. Yeah.
I feel like everybody in Sweeney Todd is a bit of a bad guy, considering they're making pies out of human flesh. I think that's kind of the
which one of these bad guys in that movie wants to sleep with a 15-year-old? Oh, okay. It's Professor Snape. He a bad guy.
An unfortunate segue as we get into question number 7.
No, this is not an unfortunate segue. No, this is a credible segue. Go ahead, hit me with it.
Am I
wrong?
You're not wrong. You picked the Canadian.
Fucking 5, and she just turned. No, okay.
No, but no, I watched a TikTok the other day of him doing an interview with somebody, or him talking with somebody, and he definitely gives off that vibe. But tell us who it is.
Oh yeah. Hey, no. My most overrated act is the groomer of Canada, Drake. Drake is the most overrated act in all of hip hop, rock and roll, R&B. It doesn't matter. This dude does not put on a great concert. Makes the concerts that Drake is a part of great. Every other act that is a part of that fucking concert, Drake, a fucking weirdo. You know what? I get why he got shot in Degrassi.
Yeah, I think my general take on this is that I think it's a generational thing. Like the Gen Zers definitely hold him to a high fucking standard. Like you look at like views from the 6, and then like all the kind of different styles that he's went for. I will stand by that Hotline Bling is a great fucking song. If you just turn your brain off. And it's a great little ditty, or just the beat in particular.
But you shouldn't have to turn your brain off for a movie, and you shouldn't have to turn your brain off for a musical artist. That's the thing.
Yeah,
and I think that's the reason why like blockbuster movies aren't the same as they used to be.
No,
so why blockbuster artists aren't the same as they used to be.
Now, given his nature and kind of like the grooming nature that you were talking about, it's right there to kind of compare him to somebody else. And I wasn't going to say it, but
he's not Jimmy Savile, so.
he even talks about it, or not talks about it, but he references this person in his new album for all the dogs.
Mhm.
He kind of has taken the space of R. Kelly. Take that for what you will. And it's weird because he's kind of doing the same things, which doesn't make sense because like you can make good music and not be a fucking creep.
I mean, you can, but if the person that you're trying to be like, oh no, look, I want to be R. Kelly. No, like Drake is just R. Kelly with a different flavor. One generation moved forward. Drake is gonna be that guy having that fucking conversation with like Hoda and be like, I'm trying to survive a fight for my life here. Like, no, bro, like you had everything. And none of it's great, but
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, his new album is good. I wouldn't say it's incredible. 7969 Santa is probably my favorite track. I think Snoop Dogg appears on it for a little bit. Has some kind of skit elements. Slime You Out is another good one with SZA. He has he does a little bit of an attempt of like a diss track with like first person shooter, and like J. Cole comes back on that for a little bit. But yeah, he's
Drake
fine.
shouldn't try to be a battle rapper ever. Like he's never been good at it. He wasn't good at it 6-7 years ago when he tried. Did he win that one?
Jeez.
Yeah, Broncos country. Let's ride. That's literally just Drake embodied.
All right, I'll get on to question number 8. Your favorite score. We're going into the realm of fandom here for these choices. Let's talk them over.
Okay. Here's my thing. I used to watch episode 4, 5, and 6 on VHS. VHSs are these things about 14, 15, 23 years before DVDs ever existed. And episode 4, I had a special edition copy of episode 4. So episode 4 came out in the special edition, came out in 1997. Every day after getting home from school, I watched episode 4, A New Hope. John Williams' score will forever be etched in my fucking brain marrow. I will never forget that. You can play 1 second of a fucking score from Star Wars, A New Hope. It will always be there. Here's my thing. I, as a grown-ass man, do not think that I have ever smiled more after hearing a score than listening to Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings. The Fellowship of the Rings. Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King are by far the best scored films of all time, in my opinion. John Williams, fire. I don't know if I can ever sit here and say that there's going to be a movie 1, 2, and 3, even a movie 1 and 2, or even a movie 1 that can top just the excitement, the joy, the fear, the anxiety that I feel when I hear Howard Shore's score hit for Fellowship of the Rings. And that's why my favorite score is Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah. So getting on the Star Wars A New Hope for a second. I mean, John Williams has done a bunch, whether it's this, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, which I'm not 100% sold on, and then you get into like and then you get into like these really kind of intricate ones with like Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. We were talking with Jeff a couple episodes ago. Far and Away is an incredibly underrated one just because of how much he gets out of the norm. Because when you think about like when you think about Star Wars and you think about Jurassic Park, stays in B flat. And like I said on the show before, it's kind like that is the original kind of key or pitch for a concert band. You don't have to do anything else. So once you hear it, it kind of stays the same. But at the same time, it's also kind of crazy because when you think of like, oh, like when you're in that key, what's the theme that you kind of want to hear the most is you want to hear this one, like the or you get to that like or you get, but then just like how the themes all kind of play into it, like the Darth Vader theme really plays into the minor of it as well, and it fits in. You get the nice You get the nice iconic shot of Luke looking off into the sky, and you have the strings come in, and it stays in that minor key similar to Darth Vader's theme. But then it like there's a like you don't get the same villainy kind of that aspect that you do with it. Like there's a sense of like. There's a sense of uncertainty with what is going to happen and the journey that he's going to go on. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. I think this is in my top 3 favorite scores of all time. I'll like just the first time watching it and how they balance the fantasy elements but also the horror elements, because I think especially like when you get into the smaller scenes as well, and just the strings and like how he kind of holds the minor notes almost similar to John Carpenter, and like that opening scene, like when they're doing the narration, and how that's really kind of setting the tone, but then also having that contrast for when they go into the Shire. And then when you think about like that opening theme, like
but the theme to the Shire,
yes,
I'm literally just like, and that's coming from somebody who's watched the trilogy 14, 15, 20 times. I just rewatched it 2.5 weeks ago, and literally it's just like, we're back, baby. Dinosaur Story 1993, we're back. Let's go.
But yeah, like with that theme or whatever, it takes 9 notes, and then you feel like you're on that adventure with them to Mordor, and like this long sort of trek. I think it does a really good job given the length of the movie, and just really getting a sense of how big this world is we're about to explore. Yeah, I think Tom McLean had it when we talked about it way back on episode 2, and then Andy Merriweather brought this up as well. So even outside of the community, this gets a ton of love. But yeah, it's just great choices.
It's just one of those things where when you hear it, you're like, "Yo, that's right," and then you might hear somebody say something else, and then you come back to it, and you're like, "But no."
Yeah.
Listen to that Shire. Listen to that intro to Howard Shore's Shire music, and tell me that you're not just like, I'm 11 years old again.
All right.
Exactly.
On to number 9. Your favorite soundtrack, I believe as well. This has been selected multiple times. I think there is a discussion though for which one to pick. They're kind of almost like Toy Story movies now, where I don't think necessarily there's a correct order. But go on, and then we'll continue.
Here's my thing. I understand what it is that everybody wants to say about whatever their favorite film soundtrack is. I think Hooked on a Feeling, go all the way, Spirit in the Sky, Moon Age Daydream, Fooled Around, Fell in Love. We're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. We're not even necessarily talking about just like a soundtrack that is in the background and it plays. And I know like a lot of people are like, oh, but you know, this happens. This is one of those movies. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 is one of those movies where like legitimately you could in the scene itself play the song that is playing and it would make sense for what is happening in the film. And that literally creates what like a diegetic that creates a diegetic sound. I love the soundtrack to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 so much. So the fact that this movie came out like 7 years ago.
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah.
Or no, yeah, 2014.
8 years ago, 9 years ago, and I'm still like, I'm gonna listen to this bitch, like 100%. I can listen to it all the way through. There's not a single song on this bitch that I skip. So if we're talking favorite soundtrack, it's the soundtrack to a movie that I don't find a reason to skip, no matter how many times I've listened to it.
Yeah, I like the opening song, or I mean, well, a couple of songs in particular. The trailer and just, I think Hooked on a Feeling was a spot on usage because it had been kind of out of the limelight for a little bit, and I think that was kind of the intent whenever he was curating it, because you're having to get into the mind of Peter Quill and like what songs would he been really been latching on to, especially with him being away from his family and having those memories. And I think Come and Get Your Love is a good song to encapsulate him, kind of like the meme of like the dog and the house on fire, and be like, this is fine. Because he's wailing into it as he's like on these kind of bounty missions. Yeah. Cherry Bomb, I think, is one that I often forget is in the movie itself. But then you get like the fucking like the Pina Colada song, Ooh Child, which is also used great in fucking Shark Tale. I think for me though, and I'm gonna ask you first. Obviously, Volume 1 is your favorite, but then how do you rank 2 and 3? Because I think with 3, I love the bookends of it. I think the acoustic version of Creep, but then also like Dog Days Are Over is such a great way to fucking close out that trilogy. That would almost be also one of probably my favorite song to dance to. Just the clapping in particular, and then the little rest in between. 1, 3, and 2. I don't like a lot of what's going on in 2, and it's not because I don't like what's going on in 2. I just think it seems like there's a lot more confusion going on in 2, and a lot of the music that's going on in the background doesn't necessarily follow what's happening in the story, versus what's going on in 1 is perfect. What's going on in 2 hits on certain beats, and then what's going on in 3, especially with Creep, especially with like Rocket walking around nowhere at the very beginning of the movie, like that's one of my things. So that's my answer. Yeah, I think for me it's right now 2 and 3 are tied. Like I said, I love Dog Days Are Over and Creep, and then like Crazy on You, I think is a good introduction to Adam Warlock. But you were talking about like kind of the confusion that's happening in Volume 2. I don't get that, especially when you hear the needle drop. I think that does a really good job of setting up the kind of the conflict and the relationship of Ego and Star-Lord, and kind of how it's like, if you don't love me now, you will never love me again. I can
You
still hear
don't
you
love me
saying,
now.
yeah, it's such a great usage of that song. But
one song does not a great movie soundtrack make.
Fair enough. Needle drop, absolutely. What other ones are on number 2? I mean, they have like Mr. Blue Sky. It's probably it's the not, or yeah, it's the least effective of the opens. Like, it's really just kind of Baby Groot having a fun time. But then you also have like Southern Nights is a good one. My Sweet Lord, Brandy gets a lot of play from there. Surrender,
like the
I think,
song that I
was
actually
on the
think is
trailer a
more
lot.
the opening song of, like, which I think is more the opening song of Guardians 2 than I think of Mr. Blue Sky. Even though it gets its reprise, it gets it, like, it comes back again, but like,
Also, one thing with Volume 2 that I forget, and I haven't played the song in a fucking while. It has the original Guardians Inferno with fucking David Hasselhoff, and
it
it's just
does.
like, it's almost like a So Bad It's Awesome. And if you ever watched his music video,
Respect the Huff.
yeah, getting down and dirty with a Procyon loader. Got no people skills, but he's good with motors. That weird thing by his side, and an infantilized Sequoia. The two of them. Oh man, I just want to sing the rest of that verse because before that, it's just them jamming off of the beast.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, last question. Your favorite song to perform or sing, also from the top 500 list. I think a little bit lower than The Boys Are Back in Town. I think it's in that 450 range or so.
But my question to you, Brooklyn, is: have you ever met a girl that you've tried to date who came from a U.S. state? Like, I get it. I understand the reason why certain things have changed. But we are looking at Just a Friend by Biz Markie. This is one of my favorite things. This is one of my favorite songs to just, like, not even necessarily jam out to, but like every time this song comes on, I can't help but sing. So like every time I go out to like a karaoke bar or whatever and I see it, it's there. Because you got what I need. Like, it's just there. Doesn't matter whether or not you have the ability to sing or not. You want to sing this song, or you want to be a part of this song, because it's just that's what this song is. Because I think that at any given point in time, any human being on the face of the planet has been in that position, regardless of what your sexual orientation is, regardless of like anything else. You have been like, but she took him back to, she took him back to his fucking hotel room. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is one of those songs where it's just like, it's so ingrained in human memory. You're never going to forget this. Plus, you say what you want to say about Biz. Rip Biz, by the way. Rip Biz Markie. But every time you hear that, like the intro to this song play,
But
you're
like similar to her, that just slightly out of tune piano.
Exactly. You are never going to mistake this for another song, and you already automatically, somewhere in your fucking dunna, are the lyrics to this song. And I think that's why it's one of my favorite songs to perform. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, like I perform the song on stage. The easy answer would be to say, like, oh, one of my favorite songs to perform on stage is Helter Skelter, which is one of my songs. I'm not gonna do that. That's just a dick move, because nobody here knows any of my songs. But I do know, and I know everybody knows, Just a Friend, and it's one of my favorite things to do at karaoke.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And especially like one thing that I appreciate about the song, and especially like the differing from like the first verse into like some of the middle ones, like you get his sense of flow
Yeah,
and like the lines of like, let me tell you a story of my situation. I was talking to this girl from the
from the
US
U.S.
nation,
nation.
but
Yeah,
then you get into the third verse and you get to like the it was a school day. I knew she was there. And then you get to like the like, oh snap, guess what I saw. Like the times to really kind of let the beat kind of breathe and let the
he
notes
lets the
sort of
beat
hit.
breathe, but he still is able to break that bar line in such a way that is not disconjointed, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's great. Like I'll never forget the time that this came on for trivia. It was like name that song, name that artist, and I mistakenly guessed Shaquille O'Neal for
No,
the artist
Shaq
because I
Diesel.
was yeah because I was like I didn't know who it was, so I threw out a guess and I was like this sounds like something Shaquille O'Neal do. Like it just enough off kilter, and then I discovered Biz Markie. And then I was like, all right, I'll never forget that name.
No, absolutely not. You can't at that point in time.
No. But all right, that's gonna wrap up the show. The two encore questions that I always have for you. Number one, who are you listening to right now that people need to check out? And number two, who's somebody that you would like to see on the show?
Ren, um, a cat from Canada, as a matter of fact. Um, the song of Screech, the song of Juliet, and Sick Boy are by far three songs that stay in my fucking playlist because this dude has created bardcore. And it's just it's one of those things where I'm just like, yo, um, I don't think that it's been an incredibly long time where I've heard somebody that isn't like an incredibly well-known name that has made me sad or has absolutely made me cry when I hear one of those songs. But Ren has a song about a friend of his who unalived himself. Um, and having gone through it, hits mad fucking hard. And he's in that Scotia area. Um, I'd love to see him on the show, but to tell you the truth, like that's another one. Who would I love to see on the show? I mean, I'd love to see Tech on the show. I know Tech's doing a whole bunch of shit, and I know Tech's doing a whole bunch of podcasts and shit. I'm gonna see if I can't reach out, fucking talk to a couple people, maybe get them on the fucking show. It's an
That
hour
would
and a
be
half out of
absolutely
somebody's
crazy.
fucking
Yeah.
day. I'd love to see it. Does it mean that it's gonna happen? Absolutely not. Would I love to see it? Absolutely. But Mr. Producer Man, because I know Mr. Producer Man got fucking me and Mr. Producer Man got fucking qualms. Me and Mr. Producer Man do not see eye to eye a lot of the times, and I know he's not here. That's the thing. So I'd love to see Mr. Producer Man on Setlist.
You know what? I feel like Mr. Producer Man would definitely be like this, like the series finale, and like
Absolutely.
just to hear his like bonkers ass takes as he has that fucking wrapped cigar in his mouth that I think at this point he just
Yeah.
refuses to light. It's like I'm just gonna have it here for show, not even admire the
No, no,
taste,
no,
just have the
no, no.
plastic and fucking cellophane wrapped around your lips. But that's going to be the end of the show. Tune into this show as well as the Off Our Stones series. I think at time of recording we're getting through to like the the 150 top 150 songs of the list, and then yeah, some other little projects rolling on down the line. Be on the lookout for those. But cheers, guys, and as always, drive safely.